Oh, man, I was going home and take me a nice little nap. Yeah, take me a nice little
Take a
nap.
whole vacation.
When that sun go down, then I make me a nice cup of coffee.
You know what I like? Peppermint tea.
Mm.
I love peppermint tea.
Yeah, that's good too.
Peppermint tea.
Yes.
Tea period.
I don't like tea period, but I love peppermint tea. But Kirsten turned me on to a latte. Almond milk.
All right, real pause.
Ready?
We're live, yeah. Sorry, that was my shine. He was doing it right, but he had to do it again.
All right.
See, I was sleeping, I'm going back there, dozed off.
Oh, yeah, got you a big sleep.
All right, brothers and sisters, we're gonna go ahead and stand face the rules, open up with prayer, start question and answer Bible study for October 26th.
Our Father which art in heaven,
Our Father, which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name,
Thy kingdom come,
thy kingdom come,
thy will be done.
thy will be done
In earth,
in earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
And give us this day our daily bread.
And give us this day our daily bread,
And forgive us our debts,
and forgive us our debts,
as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation,
And lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
For thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory forever.
and the glory forever.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
For he is good,
For he is good,
and his mercy endures forever.
and his mercy endures forever.
Praise the Lord God of Israel.
Praise the Lord God of Israel.
For he is good.
For he is good,
And his mercy endures forever.
and his mercy endures forever.
In Jesus' name we pray.
In Jesus' name we pray.
The Holy One of Israel.
Holy One of Israel.
The Mighty One of Jacob.
The mighty one of Jacob.
King of kings.
King of kings.
Lord of lords.
Lord of lords.
Amen.
Hey, you know, y'all got that coming back through the speakers, right? All right, you guys. What's going on here now? It was loud here. All right, y'all. So we're gonna go ahead and open for questions. All right, sis. What you? Oh, I guess we're gonna get the other mic for you. Forget about this. Got it. Nashawn Jacob. Maybe Marlon back.
Yeah. Hughes.
Oh, yeah. Hey, come in here and handle the mic so that when we pass it, we got you. You can do that. Okay, what's your question?
So,
All right.
going back to the lesson today, John 9:39-41.
Yes.
Can you translate what it says?
John, you said 9:39.
39-41.
Uh-huh.
Now, see, when it says, like, for judgment I am come into this world, and they which see not might see, I understand that part. What I don't understand is in that they which see might be made blind. I don't
Yeah.
understand what it means, what is being said, like, what do you mean by being made blind?
Okay, I got you. That's it?
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go back to a parable and let him break it down a little more. But really, he's saying that they're saying they see can't really see. That's what he said. Like, you think you see, but you don't.
Okay.
And so he says, and some of the Pharisees which heard him say these words, and said unto them, are we blind? So are we saying we can see and can't? He said, if you were blind, you should have no sin. So he basically saying, if you couldn't see, then you wouldn't have no sin. But now you say, we see, therefore your sin remain. So he didn't even answer the question so much as saying, well, you think you can see. And since you think you can see, your sin remain because you really can't. That's what he was saying.
Like you're still
blind. You can't see.
You're still doing the same thing.
Yeah, you taking it somewhere else, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you still doing the same things, but he ain't really. You are who you are. You still being proud, basically. You still proud and arrogant. You ain't humbled yourself. So you think you see, you don't need no help. But the reality is you do. That's what he's getting more at. But let's look at Matthew 13. I thought you was about to say something.
No, I was live.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Jesus spake to them in parables, and we're going to look and see why, and this is going to help us see as well where he's getting at. So what you're saying, really, it's not even about being able to see and not being able to see. It's really being in a position where you saying, like, you straight or you not. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you straight, like, I don't need you.
Yeah.
But really, you do.
Or like they know the truth.
Right. Like, I already know.
The truth, yeah.
So looking at this Matthew 13 and verse 10, start at 10 and read that.
And the disciples came and said unto him, Why speakest thou unto me in parable? He answered and said unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven,
Keep reading.
but to them it is not given. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever has not, from him shall be taken away, even that he has.
Go ahead.
Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing see not.
So that's what he said, like, because you saying you see, but in reality, you don't see. And then what else?
And hearing they hear not, neither do they understand.
Uh-huh.
And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah,
Uh-huh.
which said, By hearing ye shall hear, and shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see, and shall not receive.
Go ahead.
For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes have they closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them.
So he said, like, you know, at the point in time when you really can see, then that's when he said, that's when you can see that you ain't working, you know, you ain't nothing. That's really what he getting at. So watch what he said in verse 16.
But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear.
Uh-huh. So he's saying to the disciples, like, so you, it's like, it's like when you saying you blind, you just really saying like, man, I'm messed up. Guide me, lead the way.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to saying, no, I'm straight. That's the difference. Now, here's another one to look at too. Let's go to James chapter 1. James chapter 1. Ooh, worse. James 1 and James chapter 1, and let's pick this up at verse, let's pick it up at verse 19. Ooh, excuse me, you guys, I'm so tired. So that off. Verse 19, when you get there, go ahead. James chapter 1. Oh, you gotta go way. Yeah, you way. Some more. And some more. And another big, matter of fact, he should be next.
Right there.
Yep, should be next. James chapter 1. And let's pick it up at verse 19. You get there.
Wherefore, my beloved brethren, Let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath.
Mm-hmm.
For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. Wherefore lay apart all filthiness and superfluity of naughtiness, and receive with meekness the engrafted word, which is able to save your soul.
So when he said here, wherefore my beloved brother, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. The wrath worketh not the righteousness of God. This is why personally, I try not to be angry a lot.
Yeah.
Or, I try not to have anger towards, like, I try to leave that emotion out of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, because wrath don't work with the righteousness of God. And I know this. So if I know this, then I'm trying to keep myself in check. So I'm letting the Bible lead me, not my emotion. So therefore, like I'm saying, I don't see. I let the Lord do it, because me, the regular me, I'm gonna be pissed at a lot more things. Yeah. Like they keep locking the bathroom, or they just sent the police up here, or you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna let my wrath get to me at all. Like I'm cool, it's no big deal. All right, but keep reading.
22.
Mm-hmm.
Be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves.
Go ahead.
For if any be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass. For he beholdeth himself and goeth his way, and straightway forgetteth what manner of man he was.
So he's saying, like, when ultimately the commandments, if you're not gonna keep the commandments, it's like the commandments supposed to show you what you are. He like, and when he said, well, if you're doing the commandments, you're like somebody that can see them. And then notice when he said, if you're not doing them, he like somebody who look in the mirror and forget what you are. You know what I'm saying? So it does kind of go back to the commandments, like that make you blind. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't see, even though you just saw what you look like, but you don't. That's like seeing but don't see. But let's look at Isaiah chapter 6. Isaiah chapter 6. So again, he's like, saying, well, you blind. So therefore, but you saying you see, therefore that make you blind. Because the reality is, you think in a certain type of way that's lacking. It's causing you to lack the ability to get what I'm trying to give you. As the Lord trying to give you something. He's trying to do something with you, but you already think you're good. Yeah. So it's like I can't do nothing with you. It's the same thing as he said. He abased the proud and he give more to the humble or something. It's really saying that right there. Okay, Isaiah chapter 6, and let's pick it up at verse 7.
And he laid it upon my mouth and said, lo, this hath touched thy lips, and thine iniquity is taken away, and thy sin purged. Also I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send, and who will go for us? Then said I, here I am, send me. Mm-hmm. And he said, go and tell this people, hear ye indeed, but understand not, and see ye indeed, but perceive not.
See, so that's really that's where he's quoting from. So he's like, understand indeed, hear ye indeed, but understand not, see ye indeed, and you don't get it. Keep reading.
Make the heart of this people fat, and make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and convert and be healed.
Right. So he's saying this is what will happen. And he said, make the heart of these people fat, and make their eyes heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes and hear with their ears and understand with their heart and be converted and be healed. Because if you remember too, we read today, he was like, man, I came for the sick. But you say you ain't sick. So basically I come for you. Yeah. So that's the same thing, like, well, you think you can see, so gotcha. Not even knowing you're really blind. Gotcha. But since those that's out here that's blind, I'm gonna give them their sight. Yeah. But the sight not physical, the sight is mental. spiritual. So hopefully that helped clear that verse up. Sean, if you had a question? Oh, you just stretching.
All of this is.
All right, well, we got one on the line. Is it common for the fire you had when you come into the knowledge to die down as your knowledge increase? And now this is your daily walk, or is the decrease in the fire a bad thing? That's a good question. Let's look at Revelation real quick. And honestly, it's not. You know, I don't really. I can't really judge the matter in that. So sometimes what you say in the fire, the joy you had when you first got in the word, the readiness to go tell everybody. But then sometime after that you realize like, okay, there's another way. And that this way ain't really working. Now I can't say that that's a lack of that same joy. Like I don't know. But I will read you some scriptures and hope that it helps you in answering your own question. Let's look at Revelation chapter. Sorry, I gotta look at what church we're looking at. Like these things. Well, let's try chapter 3. Her hold fast, repent, blah blah blah. Let's see. Which one?
Revelation 3.
Oh, okay, you found it already.
No,
Oh,
I know it's there.
oh yeah. Cause say I'm rich, that works in that 7 point. I'm looking how I make these, so God say no that day. He overcome. I'm looking for the one that says return to your first love. What that one? You see it? Okay. It might be one. It's here. It's one of these spots. We're gonna find it.
Two.
Yeah. You said 2 and 8?
Two of them started with
First one? Wow.
First?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, dang. Let's start with Revelation 2 and 1. I don't know. I guess I look tired. You know what I mean? Like I look tired in the statements.
Right. That's how we can find them though.
Mm-hmm.
Or in the beginning, right?
Yeah. Revelation 2, and let's pick it up at verse 1.
Unto the angel of the church of Ephesus.
So what's happening here is the angels or the spirits are speaking to 7 churches. And one of the spirits goes, I'm so sorry. One of the churches is in Ephesus. And let's see what he says to the church in Ephesus.
These things said he that holdeth the 7 stars in his right hand, who walketh in the midst of the 7 golden candlesticks. I know thy works, and thy labor, and thy patience, and how thou canst not bear them which are evil, and thou hast tried them which say they are apostles, and are not, and hast found them liars.
So I look at this one a lot and look at myself because since I know thy works and thy labor and thy patience, how can you can't bear them which are evil? How you done tried them which say they are apostles. See, I done been out to a lot of these churches and combated with these apostles, especially these false prophets, especially when I first was getting in the word. Then I found them to be liars. Verse 4.
Verse 3 or 4.
Verse 3, go ahead.
And has borne and has patience, and for my name's sake has labored and has not fainted. Nevertheless, I have somewhat against thee, but thou hast left thy first love.
Right, he's like, I got something against you. You done left your first love. Like you started a certain way, but you lost that. Go ahead.
Remember, therefore, from whence thou art fallen, and repent, and do the first works, or else I will come unto thee quickly, and will remove thy candlestick out of his place, except thou repent.
Mm-hmm.
But this thou hast, that thou hatest the deeds of the Nicolaitans, yep, which I also hate.
Right.
He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit said unto the churches.
Mm-hmm.
To him that overcometh will I give to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God.
Right. So when I look at this passage here, it's like telling me, man, you might want to, look at yourself, return back to how it was when you started, when you had all that zeal. But to answer that again, it's not really on me to answer. But let's go back to Matthew 13, and we'll look at something else here. I don't really have an answer for you on that, because I don't know if what you had to start with was an eagerness to get it, or was it, just an excitement that really once it calmed down, it's like, all right, everything leveled off. It's like, all right, this is how you do this. Because, it's just like, just because it's just like if I give my son a car right now, he gonna get in it and he might take off. And he might do 90. And then after a while, as he mature, he realized, shoot, this car runs a whole lot better doing 55. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we like that. It doesn't mean that you lost your zeal. Right. It just means that you begin to become a little wiser and realize, let me slow it down for a minute. But I can't say, I'm not the judge. But let's look at this.
So Brother J, could it be like, just saying that, like once we kind of like master some things, or we master a certain thing, is it that we kind of lose our zeal on it, or?
Yeah, see, I don't really know. And again, the question being, is it common for the fire or zeal?
Yeah.
You had when you came into this knowledge to die down as your knowledge increased. And now now this is your daily walk. Or is a decrease in fire a bad thing? So when we say fire, I'm going to use the word zealous or zeal. And I don't have the answer for that. Because that really is based off of per individual anyway. But I would say that it could be various things. Now we saw in Revelation where he's like, look, return back to your first love, like how you got started in this thing. Yeah. You need to be going full throttle. That's one way. And it's really for you to discuss with God. You take this to the Lord. Some people, they be all in, they get into the church, they're doing all this work, and then all of a sudden, they don't want to do no more work no more. Like, I don't know. That's not necessarily a good thing. You're wasting your time. Lord gonna look back, he's gonna be like, hey, what you doing? But then, sometimes it's about you just leveling up. And it's like, okay, at first, and that's why I use the example with my son, we give him a car. It's a good thing. He got a car, he turned 16, you get a car, oh, that's great. Well, he don't know what to do with that car. So he's going to take off. He's going to go everywhere fast. Then as he begins to develop, like when he gets my age, I'm done driving fast. Only when I have to. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like if I don't have to, I'd rather go nice and slow, take my time, get to where I got to go. You know what I'm saying? So we could say when he got his car at 16 or when I got mine at 16, I was far more zealous. We could say that. But then it really wasn't about zeal. It was just about I grew up a little bit. So I don't really know how to answer that question for you, because only you can judge it within yourself what it is that you are and are not anymore, or how you're acting or how you was acting. But I can just show you some things that the Bible teaches. So Matthew 13, yeah. And just trying to see where I want to start at. I guess we'll start at 1 and we'll skip to where we're going. Mm-hmm.
The same day went Jesus out of the house and sat by the seaside, and great multitudes were gathered together unto him, so that he went into a ship and sat, and the whole multitude stood on the shore.
Okay.
And he spake many things unto them in parables, saying, behold, a sower went forth to sow. And when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them up.
Keep reading.
Some fell upon stony places where they had not much earth, and forthwith they sprung up because they had no depthness of earth. And when the sun was up, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered away.
Go ahead.
And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprung up and choked them out. But others fell into good ground and brought forth fruit, some a 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30-fold. Who has ears to hear, let him hear.
Okay, so this parable that Jesus is giving, he said a sower went out, he had a bag of seeds, and he went out to sow these seeds. And as he was walking through there, some of the seeds just fell.
Yep.
Then he's like, since they fell, he said they fell and the birds came and just snatched them up. Then some fell by rocks. And since they didn't have a whole lot of earth, you know what I'm saying, they did come up, even though it wasn't intended for them to come up, they did come up. But because they didn't have no depth and root in them, they just died. And some fell along, I think he said the thorns, right? And these thorns, they got big roots, old roots. And when he came out of thorns, they took everything that these seeds needed, and eventually the seed died. And then another seed fell on good ground. And when it fell on good ground, it sprang up and produced fruit. Now, let's go look at the understanding of this. Let's look at verse 18.
Hear ye therefore the parables of the sower. When anyone heareth the word of the kingdom and understandeth it not, then cometh the wicked one and catcheth away that which was sown in his heart. This is he which received seed by the wayside. But he that received the seed into stony places, the same is he that heareth the word and anon with joy receive it. Yet has he not root in himself, but dureth for a while. For what tribulation or persecution arises because of the word, by and by he is offended.
Right, so it's like these people endure for a while, but at first they be all joyous and they be zealous. So make sure this ain't your reason that you didn't shift it back because of how others say and what others do. That's the reason why we're here. That's in relevance to the question. So he said, when one heareth the word of the kingdom and understandeth not, then comes the wicked one and catcheth away that which was sown in his heart. This is the one that received by the wayside. But he that received seed in the stony place, the same as he that heareth the word and annoyed with joy receiveth it. See, all people who hear the word, you one of these types of ground. He said, but if you don't have no root in yourself, then when tribulation comes, persecution rising, because of the word, you get offended. Like, so you don't want to, as you're examining yourself, you want to say, okay, well, make sure this ain't the reason why. You know what I'm saying? That I don't have that same deal no more because people done came and shut me up. You know what I mean? That, that's one way of looking at it. But ultimately, when we look at the question, there is no way that I'm going to be able to answer that for you. That's something that you got to answer yourself. Is it common for you, for the fire you had when you came into this knowledge, to die as your knowledge increased? Now this is your daily walk, or the decrease of bad thing, a bad thing. That's not for me to determine. I can just tell you that you want to be careful within yourself and then look into yourself to be sure that the reason that it done died down is one that can be justified with God. Let's look at something else real quick. Let's go to Matthew chapter 10. So Jesus is about to send out the apostles. And when he's sending them out, here's what he tells them. And it starts in verse 5. Matthew 10 and 5.
These 12 Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not. So
when he's talking to Gentiles right here, he's talking to the children of Israel at that time. He was like, nah, because he said he was only sent here for Israel, not not for the Gentiles, talking about Jesus. But now we preach to the Gentiles. We saw Paul start doing that. Go ahead, keep reading.
But go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Uh-huh.
And as ye go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand.
Go ahead.
Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely ye have received, freely give.
So this is the mentality that you need to have when dealing with this word, period. Like, look how he's saying, freely you got, freely you give. Don't worry about it. You're going to say, provide neither gold nor silver, brass. Like, don't worry, wherever you go, do what you got to, you know.
Yeah.
But let's skip down to verse 16.
Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves.
Uh-huh.
But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the council, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. And ye shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles.
Uh-huh.
But when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what ye shall speak, for it shall be given you in that same hour what ye shall speak.
Mm-hmm.
For it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. And the brother shall deliver up the brother to death, and the father the child, and the children shall rise up against their parents and cause them to be put to death.
All right, that's good. Let's jump down to verse 35.
For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
And a man's foes shall be they of his own household.
Keep reading.
He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me.
Mm-hmm.
And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me.
Right.
And he that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me.
So again, going back to the question about being zealous, like, I can't really grade that, but I can tell you, you gotta take up your burden and go. You gotta do what you're supposed to do for the Lord.
Yep.
Whether you jumping with joy and all extra excited or not, you can't put other things before God. Like I can't really answer that question. Only you can answer that question, but you can examine yourself and understand that, hey, don't nothing come before God.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you putting God before everything else, then you should be good, whether you yelling it from the rooftop or, you sitting there in the corner of the house where people coming to hear your whispers. He said that he that taketh not his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. He that find his life shall lose it. He that loses his life for my sake shall find it. He that receiveth me, receiveth you, receiveth me. And he that receiveth me, receiveth him that sent me. And that's good. So again, I can't really directly answer that question, but hopefully what little bit we did provide helps a little bit. That's a good question. All right, we got any more questions in here? We got another question here. You got one, sis? You'll wait. Wait on what?
I'm trying to figure out how to ask.
Oh, okay. I'm like, you ain't gotta wait. It's not a long line. All right. Let's see. Peace, fam. Peace. Is there any way to figure out the chronological order of the Bible? Yeah. To some degree, it's kind of easy. So let me help you a little bit. So Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, Numbers. Those is what's considered to be the writings of Moses. So it came in the days of Moses, and it covers all the way up until we get to the promised land. So we go into Egypt, it shows you, Genesis shows you Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the promises being made to them. Exodus shows you the children as a nation from Jacob going down into Egypt and how they became a nation, but Egypt came out.
Mhm.
All right. Then when they come out in Exodus, and the Lord calls them a nation of priests, and from there he gives them the laws and the commandments of the children of Israel. He sets up a church. Then, and as you get into Numbers and Deuteronomy, it also begins to show you them wandering in the wilderness until they achieve the goal of getting into the promised land, which, by the way, Moses didn't get into with them. Then after that, in order still, we get to the book of Joshua. Let's go to Joshua chapter 1. We're going to see how you keep up with it. And the main way you keep up with the chronological order of the Bible is by reading the first part, the introduction to the chapter. It's going to help us. So in Joshua chapter 1, verse 1, just read that verse there. Joshua is right after the first 5 books. So we're going in order.
Joshua.
Mm-hmm. So
Joshua, what is
1
it?
and 1.
Now after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' minister, saying.
All right, that's good. So notice a few things here. Number one, it just shows you that Moses was dead, and it's telling you what he spoke to Joshua, the son of Nun. So it also showed you, and this is relevant because the Bible is going to keep up with fathers and sons pretty much throughout its writings. So that's next. Joshua will be next. Then after we're done with Joshua, we're going to go over to the book of Judges. So right now, the Bible is in chronological order. So let's go to Judges. Judges chapter 1, verse 1. And it's easy, sis, and it's not going to take us a long time to figure this out. So Judges 1 and 1. When you get there, go ahead.
Now after the death of Joshua, it came to pass that the children of Israel asked the Lord, saying, who shall go up for us against the Canaanites first?
All right, that's
to fight
good.
against them.
So now what's happening is Joshua's dead, and now we go into what's called Judges. So at this particular moment in the Bible, the children of Israel will be in their land, and they don't have kings. They just have people that the Lord, Samson being one of them, Deborah, Gideon, just people who the Lord set up. Who said, yeah, you're in charge. You handle you handle making sure or execute the judgment in the land. With the priests, though. The priests are ultimately the one that were in charge during this time period. So after Judges, we run up on the book of Ruth. Now, what is the book of Ruth about? Now, let's pick it up in verse 1, Ruth 1 and 1. Now, the reason Ruth is here is because ultimately, from hindsight, the Bible is about Jesus. And Jesus comes through David. So in hindsight, we know David get here through Ruth. So since the Bible is written after it's done, Ruth is the grandparents of the first king over Israel in its entirety. Now I know Saul is the king of Israel, but really David ruled out of Jerusalem and not Hebron. He ruled out of Judah. So as opposed to Solomon ruling out of Benjamin. So, and so that's why Ruth is there. Ruth, so basically, that's why we throw this in the middle of nowhere, but watch what it says, and it's still in a chronological order. Go ahead and read Ruth 1 and 1.
Now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled.
See, so that we're still in the same time period as the book of Judges, when the judges ruled. So we're still, now when I say we're still in chronological order, I don't know exactly where Ruth fits into Judges. I think it fits in the end. I think it's still in chronological order, but it's not relevant. All right, the book still comes in that same time as the Judges. Then after that, we get to our last judge, which was Samuel, and that's what the book of Samuel is about. And when we pick up Samuel, we read about Samuel is the last judge. Then you're gonna have Saul, David, and that's gonna be 1st and 2nd Samuel. Okay. After we're done with 1st and 2nd Samuel, we go to 1 Kings. And King Samuel ends with David and begins with David. and then it picks up into Solomon, and then Kings covers all the kings of Israel. All right, whether it's Israel or Judah, and let's see how far it takes us. Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 25. 2 Kings chapter 25. This is gonna help. And I do see some more questions on there. We're gonna get to them with no problem, Lord willing. Got clean the board. It's been nasty, but it's good enough for now. I don't know why this is in here. So start reading chapter 25 and what we said, 2 Kings chapter 25 and pick up at verse 1.
And it came to pass in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, in the 10th day of the month.
So here's something else that happens when you read in Kings and Chronicles and stuff, that each king is going to give you, it's going to tell you when they reigned and who was ruling and reigning with them. All right. And when I mean ruling and reigning with them, as far as other tribes or even other kings of other nations. All right. So go ahead and read.
Okay. It says, in the 10th month, in the 9th day of the month, that Nebuchadnezzar.
Now we in the Babylonian king, Nebuchadnezzar. Go ahead.
King of Babylon. He and all his hosts against Jerusalem and pitched against it, and they built forts against it round about.
So we took it all the way. We took it all the way to Nebuchadnezzar, okay, and Babylon. All right. Now let's go. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the very next book, which is Chronicles, and I want you to start reading that First Chronicles, chapter 1, verse 1, and I'm gonna show you what this does. All right.
Adam, Seth, Enoch, Kenan, Malay, Jared, Jared, Henoch, whatever it is. Methuselah, Lamech, Noah, Shem, Ham, Japheth, the sons of Jephthah, Gomer, and Magog, and Midah, and Javan, and Tubal, and
keep going.
Mecca, and Trias.
Keep going.
And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Riphath, and Gamar, and the sons of Javan, Elijah.
So what we're doing right now is we're running down genealogy.
Yeah.
So Chronicles is going to take you all the way back to basically the beginning, but then it's going to jump to, like when you get to chapter 3, go to chapter 3.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Now these were the sons of David, which was born unto him in Hebron.
So now it's jumping to the sons of David. So now what we're about to do in Chronicle, it's gonna run you all the kings from the sons of David, all the kings of Judah. So now let's go pick up some of the last kings. We're gonna see how it's written. Let's go to 2 Chronicles 36. So what I did up here is I'm making a chart, and I'm trying to show it in 1st and 2nd Chronicles. Okay. So this is the beginning of the Bible. And once I begin to understand this is when I realize how I can determine the order of the Bible. But this is so far what we have so far. We have Genesis to Deuteronomy, that's the writing of Moses. Then we got Joshua, Judges, and Ruth. Then once we cover that, we get into Samuel's 1st and 2nd, which covers David and Saul, and all the way into Solomon and all the kings of Israel. All right. Then we're going to get to the end of Chronicles. Go ahead.
Then the people of the land took
Jehoahaz,
the son of Josiah, and made him king in his father's stead in Jerusalem.
So king in his father's stead in Jerusalem. We're still dealing with Jerusalem in Chronicles. Go ahead.
Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he began to reign.
All right, let's get, I'm gonna make you read all of that. Let's get down to verse 21. We're gonna read 21, 22, and 23. Because it's gonna show you how far it's taken us. Go ahead.
To fulfill the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah, until the land had enjoyed her Sabbath. For as long as she lay desolate, she kept Sabbath.
I'm sorry, I didn't read verse 20. Verse 20 said, and them that had escaped from the sword carried he away to Babylon. So basically, we start at the birth of mankind to the birth, really Genesis is the birth of mankind to the birth of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Then we get off into the children of Israel and we take them all the way into them going into captivity. This is all in chronological order. So from Genesis, actually we're going to continue in order as we go into the next book, but then the other stuff we're going to have to fit in the rest. All right, but keep reading.
Go back to 21.
Yeah.
To fulfill the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I don't know if I finished 20. And them that had escaped from the sword carried he away to Babylon, where they were servants to him and his sons until the reign of the king of Persia. So what Chronicles really just did was cover from Babylon to Persia. So really we know that Chronicles was written after they was in Persian captivity. All right. Now, when you go to the next book, go to Ezra chapter 1 and read verse 1.
Now, in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled, the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom, and put it also in writing, saying, Thus says Cyrus, king of Persia, the Lord God of heaven has given me all the kingdoms of the earth.
So we're still operating in order. So we went from all the kings of Israel and Judah, and now we're going to Ezra, where we are under king of Persia. And now when you look at Ezra, Nehemiah, and Esther, all three of these books play outside or past Chronicles after we done get into our after we left our captivity. Now, Nehemiah and Esther. Now, what the Bible does next is there is a part called the poetic part. This is what the theologians call it. Job, Psalm, Proverbs, and Ecclesiastes, and Songs of Solomon. Each one of these would fit okay, so now we got to do this a little different. It's okay if we're going to do it different. All right. So we take it from Genesis to Esther, pretty much in chronological order. Now what we're going to do is we're going to place these next books inside of the Bible. And what do we mean by that? Because we're dealing with chronological order. That's your question. So we're gonna skip, no, not. So Job was said to be written in the days of Moses. Now, some people say in the days of Abraham, depending on what scholars, but I like to stick with Moses. So we're gonna just put Job up here, and we're gonna put Moses' era. Now, remember Moses' era, when you was on the backside, was, when we looked on the other part, was Genesis, was really Deuteronomy, and Leviticus and Numbers. So we can say Job was written somewhere there. So if you want to go back and put it on the timeline of where it was written in chronological order, I hope you can see this online. In chronological order, it would be Genesis. Somewhere in here is where the writing of Job would be. So we can do it like this. Okay. Job will be somewhere there. Now we have the book of Psalms. And David wrote Psalms. Let's go prove that real quick. Let's go to 2 Samuel. 2 Samuel. And let's look at verse 23 and verse 1. 23 and 1. 2 Samuel 23 and verse 1. And you can read that.
2 Samuel chapter
23 and verse 1.
23.
Yep. Second Samuel.
All right. Now these be the last words of David. David the son of Jesse said, and the man who was raised up on high, the anointed of the God of Jacob, and the sweet songstress of Israel said, the Spirit of the Lord spake by me.
All right, that's good. So we see David wrote the Psalms.
Yeah.
All right. Then once we get past David writing the Psalms, then we can get to our next piece of writing, which was written by Solomon. Solomon wrote Proverbs and Ecclesiastes and Songs of Solomon. All right. So these writings, these writings here, the poetic books, other than Job, if we were going to fit them chronologically, they would go somewhere over here in Samuel and in the Kings, chronologically. So they would have been written after all of this. Now, we're going to go to our prophets. We're not going to take the time to write each prophet where they went. I'm just going to show you how you determine. So we're going to go to Isaiah chapter 1. And we'll look at our major prophets first. So none of the prophets were written in order. Or I should say, none of them were written in order. I'm saying the prophets aren't in order in parallel to the Bible. So we're going to show you what we mean. Isaiah 1 and picking up at verse 1.
The vision of Isaiah, the son of Amazon, which he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, king of Judah.
So right now it's showing you when Isaiah prophesied. It said he prophesied the vision of Isaiah, the son of Amos, which he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. So they were still Judah and Jerusalem. In the days of who? Uzziah, Jotham, and Ahaz, and Hezekiah, king of Judah. So this book Isaiah would fit around, let's go find Hezekiah. So now we're gonna go back to Kings, or let's go back to let's go to Chronicles. That make it easier for us. And we're gonna look for Hezekiah. So we're gonna go to 2 Chronicles, chapter 29. Second Chronicles is here, after David, and it's also in Kings. So it's in Kings, 2 Kings 18, and 2 Chronicles 29. So this is when Isaiah would have been written. So on the timeline in 2 Kings, 2 Kings 18, and then 2 Chronicles 29, this is the time period of the book of Isaiah. All right. So the book of Isaiah now fits itself inside here. So it's in order from Genesis to Esther, but now we begin to put the writings of David inside. We begin to put the writings of Isaiah. Now let's go over to Jeremiah. I'm going to show you the same thing. Or did you read?
No.
Read 2 Chronicles 29 and 1.
Hezekiah began to reign when he was 25 years old, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. And his mother name was Abijah, the daughter of Zechariah. Yeah. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that David his father had done.
See, so that's why we find him in Chronicles, because we find all this bloodline of David in Chronicles. We find all the kings of Israel, period, whether they was Israel or Judah in Kings. But we find David in Chronicles. Okay? So that's why we got him in 2 Chronicles 29 and the 2 Kings 18. That's where you find the book of Isaiah. Now, let's go to Jeremiah. Jeremiah going to be closer to the end. I'm saying next book from Isaiah. And we just going to cover these 4 major prophets, and then I'm just going to tell you that the rest of them, you got to put them in there. But Jeremiah, let's pick it up in Jeremiah 1 and chapter 1, verse 1. And so what we're doing for you, sis, and I'm hoping that you can see the board. Go check this here. He said, no, I cannot, but I'll write down what you say. Yeah, I don't know how else to do it. I don't know how you get the lighting done better. Let me see if I can see it. Oh, yeah. Well,
Can we see the board?
well, we can see it, huh? What you say?
Move it over, not.
Yeah. You can see it, and I don't know how to make us see it and hear better.
Yeah.
Put the board in front of the pulpit. Would it come out clear?
If I put it where?
In front of your,
In front of it?
yeah.
I don't know. I have no earthly idea. I mean, I can look again and see if this made it look better. Let me see. No, I don't know. It's like something that do with white balance, but I can maybe move this aside and see if we put it in the front like Godfrey suggested. It don't really bother me to not be sitting where I want it or sitting where it usually is. So I don't know, but you should be able to see it better now, right, Sister John? Not really. No. Hey, so Jeremiah, and now we're in Jeremiah. And yeah, if you are at home and you can't see it, I'm sorry. But I hope you can follow me because we are going to the book. So Jeremiah, and I'll repeat some of the stuff we got up here. But Jeremiah, pick it up in Jeremiah 1 and 1.
The words of Jeremiah, the son of Hilkiah, of the priests that were in Antioch, in the land of Benjamin, to whom the word of the Lord came in the days of Josiah, the son of Ammon, king of Judah.
All right.
The 13th year of his reign.
So now look, it just told you when. And that's the point that I want you to begin to understand, that when you read the Bible, it's going to tell you when, who did what, and it's really on you to find it out. And it's not difficult. So it says here, the word of Jeremiah, the son of Hilkiah, of the priests, that were in the Anathoth, in the land of Benjamin, to whom the word of the Lord came in the days of Josiah, the son of Ammon, king of Judah, in the 13th year of his reign. So now all we got to do is go find Josiah, and you'll know when Jeremiah was written. So let's go back to Chronicles again. Chronicles. 2 Chronicles, that is. And we're going to look for Josiah. And we're going to go to 2 Chronicles. And let's see, Joash, Uzziah, that's after him. If he's Judah, Hezekiah. No, we have to hold on. We're near closer to the end, actually. See, Hezekiah, Josiah should be coming up next. All right, so 2 Chronicles chapter 34. So this is where you got. And we're going to put 2 Kings, because this is also where you find them, 22, and 2 Chronicles, chapter 34. So this is where Jeremiah is. All right. So in the chronological order, remember, again, Genesis through Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, then we begin to discuss the kings. Now, the prophets, what we're learning, they're written inside of here. So it's no longer chronological order, but we do see that Isaiah was written before Jeremiah. And the way that we're seeing it is it's showing you the kings. And it's showing you the king that ruled when they ruled. So we saw Hezekiah was in his day. Hezekiah, I don't know if I spelled that right. And then Jeremiah's day was Josiah. All right. So when you see those kings, then you can see when these were written. And what happens, the way you get a better understanding of the Bible, when you get to these prophets, is you understand why they wrote. Because in Hezekiah day, Judah and Israel were still together. As we get to Josiah, Israel done got kicked out the land. So now it's just Judah, the southern tribes, okay? And now the punishment is written to them when we get to Jeremiah. So that's why when you read the book of Jeremiah, it's going to make more sense. Why he's talking about Israel a certain type of way and Judah another way, okay? Now let's go back over to, I'm sorry, did we read anything?
34.
Okay, so let's read that. We said 2 Chronicles 34 and pick it up at verse 1. Yup.
Josiah was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 31 years. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, and walked in the ways of David his father, and declined neither to the right hand nor to the left.
Okay, that's good. And for those with other questions on there, we're gonna get to it. Like it's not, we're gonna get to it, but I saw your question, so we're gonna get to it. But this is not hard. I just want us to be able to do this. Like this is not difficult, and so that way we'll have it on record. So now let's go to the next book on record, which is now Lamentation was written by Jeremiah. So we just gonna put Lamentation there too. Now we're gonna go to Ezekiel. Because really, once we're done with Ezekiel and Daniel, then we pretty much gonna go to the New Testament. Meaning we're not going to go through each prophet. You should have an idea now of how to do the prophets. I just want to show you Ezekiel and Daniel because in actuality, Daniel gonna take you out of this captivity. He's gonna take you all the way into Persia. So he's gonna go past Chronicles. Daniel gonna go past Chronicles as well. He's gonna go into a time period actually. Daniel gonna actually sit right here. This is where Daniel gonna sit, right here. The book of Daniel. But we're gonna get to, I'm gonna show you why. Which is, because remember, Chronicles took you Nebuchadnezzar was taking us out until the days of Persia. Where Daniel is actually gonna be the one that go into captivity and be into the days of Persia. So Daniel sit like through that whole joint. So in reality, he can sit here. That's why when you ask the question, it's a good question. No, the Bible is not written in chronological order, but we're gonna get there. So let's go to Ezekiel chapter 1 and let's find out what king was ruling in the book of Ezekiel, and we'll know when this took place. So Ezekiel 1 and verse 1. When you get there, go ahead.
Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Chebar.
Oh, so Ezekiel sounds like he's going into captivity as I was among the captives. Go ahead, keep reading.
By the river of Chebar,
that
the heavens was open, and I saw visions of God. And in the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King
Jehoiakim.
Captivity.
All right, bet. So now we can go find King Jehoiakim. So now let's go back to 2 Chronicles. This is when we're gonna put him on there. So we're gonna go back to 2 Chronicles, and trust me, the New Testament easier to do. Where was it? Oh, 2 Chronicles. And what was it? Jehoiakim?
Yeah, Jehoiakim.
All right. So 2 Chronicles chapter 36. Which, by the way, Chronicles only got 36 chapters. So you seeing what's going on is that, Isaiah was in 29, Jeremiah was in chapter 34. Basically, these writers are warning us up into our captivity. This is what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And then by the time Ezekiel comes, Ezekiel tells a story like, hey, we're going into captivity, but the Lord gonna deliver the children of Israel out of captivity. Like when we look at stuff like Ezekiel chapter 20, when he said the Lord will rule over Zion. And when you get all the way to chapter 38, 37, when he waking up the dry bones and he bringing us back into Israel in the book of Ezekiel. All right, but it said Jehoiakim, right? So let's pick this up at 2 Chronicles 36 and 9.
Jehoiakim was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months and 10 days in Jerusalem. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord.
Go ahead.
And when the year was expired, King Nebuchadnezzar sent and brought him to
Oh, you can see it now, huh? You notice that? Oh, that was a good move.
And
all right, go ahead.
Brought him to Brooklyn with the godly vessels of the house of the Lord, and made Zedekiah his brother king of Judah and Jerusalem. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 11 years in Jerusalem.
Go ahead.
And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord his God, and humbled not himself before Jeremiah the prophet, speaking from the mouth of the Lord.
Keep reading.
And he also rebelled against King Nebuchadnezzar.
So you see that this is the time period that Ezekiel wrote about. And they didn't go into captivity like under 1 day, 1 year, 1 month. It was a process of them going into captivity. And when you read Jeremiah, he prophesies to Josiah and to Israel that we're going into captivity, that Judah is. Here in Ezekiel day, Judah goes. We begin to go. That's why Ezekiel says, hey, I was amongst the captives. So remember, when you look at the writings, once we get to our kings, we go into captivity in Chronicles at the very end. Remember, we finished that. Verse 22, now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia. So we take him all the way to Persia. We go from Babylon and Nebuchadnezzar to Persia. Now let's go to Daniel chapter 1. And we're going to see when Daniel was written. All right, Daniel 1 and 1. And when you get there, Daniel chapter 1 and verse 1.
In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem and besieged it.
So now we see that Daniel is in the end. He still, see, Chronicles take you all the way out. All right. Daniel is going to watch it, but we're going to see Daniel through a lot of people. So at first, when you open up the book of Daniel, it said that he was in what year of Nebuchadnezzar? Did it tell you like 3rd year? It said, I think.
In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim,
okay,
of Judah.
All right. And the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand part of the vessels of the house of God, and he carried them to the land of Shinar. All right. Let me show you some more. Let's go to Daniel chapter, because we're going to go through all of them, but we ain't going to do that. We ain't going to read all that. Let's go to Daniel chapter 6 now. Because actually, in the Nebuchadnezzar's grandson going to get his butt whooped in the book of Daniel. And it's going to take us to the next king. So let's go to Daniel chapter 6. And when you get to 6, start reading the verse 1.
It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 100.
Well, matter of fact, before you do that, if you go to chapter 5, verse 30, it says, and that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain, and Darius, the Median, took the kingdom, being about 62 years old. So that was the next person who took the whole kingdom. So it went from the Medes, went from Nebuchadnezzar to the Medes, all under Daniel's watch. All right. Now so it was Darius, but we're not going to harp on it. Let's go to chapter 9 and verse 1.
In the 1st year of Darius, the son of Ahasuerus, of the seed of the Medes, which was made king over the realm of the Chaldeans. In the 1st year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by books the number of the years, whereof the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah.
This dude here.
the prophet.
So Daniel in this day is reading Jeremiah the prophet because Jeremiah is going to begin to say, yo, y'all gonna be in captivity for a certain length of time. And Daniel gonna be like, I've been in captivity for a long time. I even watched Babylon fall, which when you read Jeremiah, it speaks of Babylon's fall. So Daniel like, yo, what's up? And then that's why in this chapter, he begins to break down to him, oh no, y'all gonna be in captivity for a long time. That 70 years you was reading about, no, them 70 weeks, them prophetic weeks. A lot gotta happen. All right, now let's go to Daniel chapter 10. Daniel chapter 10. So again, I know we didn't write Daniel over here because I wanted you to put Daniel over here because he covers, notice I put Chronicles, then I put the book of Daniel, Babylon through Persia. All right, because Chronicles took us all the way to Persia, but it didn't discuss it. It just said, you know, that we got out of captivity in the Persia. Remember, Ezra, Nehemiah, and Esther, they were all inside the days of the Persian Empire. Okay, so this is when you act. Then we went backwards. The writings of David, Psalms go here, Job here, Proverbs go up in here with Solomon. Then we're putting Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel here in the latter part of the Kings in Chronicles. Okay. Now let's Daniel chapter 10 and verse 1.
In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of the Persia, a thing was revealed unto Daniel.
So now you see when Daniel was there. In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia. So you see how far out that takes you. Okay, that's Daniel. So when you ask the question, is in chronological order? It is not. Now we're not going to do all the prophets, but I want to show you how you figure them out. So we're going to go to Hosea. I want you to just read Hosea chapter 1, verse 1. And then you got to do all the rest of the prophets, but they don't all go in here. They all go here. And the reason I say they don't all go in under here, you understand what I mean by a minute. Because it's going to tell you who was ruling when you read the prophet. Then you got to go find where is that king that was ruling, and that's where you put it. So read Hosea chapter 1, and then after that we go on to the New Testament. Go ahead.
The word of the Lord that came unto Hosea the son of Berechiah in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, king of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam.
So he's showing you, Hosea ruled in the days of Hezekiah, king of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel. So Hosea is written somewhere up here. All right. So both the houses of Israel would be put together. The book of Hosea is somewhere in here. When I say somewhere in here, you know, because Hezekiah was ruling there too, but it gives you, it pinpoints you based off of what king they saying is in play. All right. And that's how the Old Testament does. And FYI, if in order to place each Old Testament book where they want to go, if you Google Kings of Judah and Israel chart, you will find some images that will show you each king. Is going to show you the list of the king, where to find them in the Bible, what year they reigned based off of man's calendar year, and who prophesied to them and what book. So you'll be able to find that actually already charted out. So I gave you a beginning schedule of how to understand it. But if you go, you'll be able to catch that and you'll get a more clear picture and a clear view of how the Old Testament was written in this chronological order. Now, to the New Testament. So in between the Old and the New Testament, we get into the Greco period. To the Greek period. The Greek period is under Alexander the Great and all that. And then from the Greeks, we go into the Romans. So let's look at because we're not gonna do a whole lot on this to show you. But I wanted to show you, see, Herod was king And he okay, we ain't gotta do it like that. We ain't gonna take a lot of time. So this is how we're gonna do the New Testament. I'm just gonna tell you something. You still taking a picture? Oh, I'm not gonna erase it. I'm just gonna go to the back. So, New Testament is a little simpler. Real simple, but it's important that you comprehend this too. All right? You got Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And these all tell the story of Jesus. All right? Then, now the time period that it was written, we're not going to discuss that. We're just going to try to keep it in chronological order, mentally. These all discuss Jesus from a different capacity. Then what's next is the Acts of the Apostles. That's what the book of Acts is, meaning the actions of the apostles. So after they left the church, after they left Jesus, they started a church, and that's what that is. And the first 1 through 13, 14, I'm just going to guess, is Peter. And 14, I'm really guessing, through 28 is Paul. Now, Paul had a ministry, and what Paul does is Peter teaches Israel. He starts the church with the church in Israel. Paul is to teach the Gentiles. Paul goes out and he ends up in Rome. He goes to Corinth, Ephesus, where he has Timothy to start the church there. He goes to Colossian, or whatever. How you want to say, whatever that city name is. What you say? Colossians. But no, people are Colossians, but yeah, well, whatever it is, y'all know what we're talking about. Yeah, he goes to Philippi. So he goes to all these places. And he preaches to them. And then he writes them all letters. Rome, I put last, because that's actually where he ends up in the end. So each one of these writings here fits inside of the book of Acts, not outside of it. You know what I'm saying? He goes to these places, to these Gentile lands, to these islands, and visits them, then writes letters to them. But his last days, he in Rome. Right, while he's in Acts. Very good. So all of these, and it's important to understand that, because when you understand that, then you begin to understand these letters better. And why was he not doing away with the commandments? He was never doing away with the commandments there. But because we leave the book of Acts, all of a sudden we put them on islands like they separate books. But the reality is we couldn't put them inside of the book of Acts because they're whole letters. They need their own place, but they all fit based off of what he did when he preached. Then you got, after that, you got the letter written to the Hebrews. They say Paul wrote it. I don't know. Doesn't really matter who wrote it. The letter is written to them. That's why it covers a lot of sacrificing in it. It covers the new priesthood, because they had an old priesthood. Then after that, you get James. James is found also in the Acts of the Apostles. So remember, James is the one in Acts 15 that say, look, no, we ain't gonna tell them to get circumcised, tell them to do this, that, and the other. But he tells you who he writing to. James said he writing to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. Matter of fact, I'll read that right quick. Say right there, Brother Paul. So when you go to James chapter 1, James chapter 1, so that's right after Hebrews. And it says, James 1:1. James, the servant of God and the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. So no, he just got down so you can see. I just told him he got to get up there. So James is writing to the 12 tribes, not to the Gentiles. Just like Peter was teaching, Peter started the church, really. That's because Peter even taught the Gentile, but basically he was teaching Israel. Paul was basically teaching the Gentile. James was teaching the 12 tribes, which you could really say James go here too. All right. Then after that, Peter tell you who he teaches, which is the same thing. But all these boys, 1st and 2nd Peter, they all go in here as part of the Acts of the Apostles. They written with inside there. Hebrews we're just gonna leave out. I don't know. They say Paul wrote it. I don't think it really matters. We just know who was wrote to. It's written to the Hebrews. All right. If I had to put money on it, I'd just say yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not betting my life savings. It doesn't really matter. Hebrews never say who wrote it. You know what I'm saying? All the other writings say who wrote it. You know, Paul, such and such, Peter, James. Hebrews don't say. All right. Then you get the John boys. 1 and 2 and 3. John. And we know this John is not John the Baptist, but John who wrote Revelations. And it tells you that John was on the island of Patmos. So we could put, it's still probably, the time period probably still fits in the book of Acts. But it's not relevant because it's going to tell you what it's written about. You know what I'm saying? They're telling you who they write it to, but the chances are this Acts cover a lot of time period. Like when we say this Acts cover a lot of time period, let's just say Acts covers from 30 AD, which is if Jesus died around, they say somewhere between 27 and 33. So I just put 30. You know, it depends on who you ask where. So I put 27 AD just because I think in one of our lessons we said 27. I'm not sure. So this Acts covered from about 27 AD to about 60-something AD. That's how much time period Acts covered. And all this stuff, even this was written in that same time period. But we're not going to care when it was written, because really Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John may not have been written before Acts. Like maybe Matthew, maybe I know Luke was written before Acts. I think Luke kind of Acts kind of the continuation. You know what I'm saying? But they could have all been written around the same time. It doesn't really matter. The content of the story is what's relevant, and I'm showing you the content in the order of which it comes. It's pretty much all the New Testament fit inside of Acts. That's pretty much, you know what I'm saying? So what you want to do when you understand it, before you can get into all these writings, is you want to make sure you get the book of Acts and follow what these people was doing here. Then, once you got the backstory, then you can come up in here and understand why somebody is saying what they're saying to whom they're saying it to. So hopefully, Sister Elizabeth, that helped answer your question about the Bible written in chronological order or not. Let's get back to our next question. Oh, sorry. Guess that's that history of the Bible right there.
We already got that on tape.
Yeah, I just never.
We got that on in our archive.
Yeah. I don't know. You know, each time we deal with stuff like this, you always. I don't think I wrote it out like this. You know what I mean? So you always add pieces to it. And I don't know. Maybe one day my son, once we dead and gone, he'll take it all and put it where it needs to go and put in some type of random order and get it to his kids or something. You know what I'm saying?
You might be adding some more on his book.
I know, right? Might be like, yeah, Dave was wrong right here, but I can fix that part. Mm-hmm.
I said we'll fix it, Sister John, just in case.
Okay, so that's that. So now we're gonna go, unless y'all got questions here, we do got a couple more online that I did see. Oh man, praise the Lord. Let's see what we got. I know I saw Sister Tara in there. Hope you're still here with us, Mrs. Fields. PC, you forgot to find out. Oh, we got Lucid Dreamer and then Sister Terica, and then thank you, but I have been in the Word 5 years. I used to not be able to sleep because of reading. I study all day, but I missed the fire that kept me. Oh, okay. So that was Lynn. That was somebody. She responded from. Yeah. See, right, and that might have been to you, Lynn. Because I've been there. Like when I first got in the Word, I remember reading the Bible like 18 hours a day. Really, 18, like really. That's all I did, because I needed it. I needed to eat. I needed to get as much as possible. I don't read that much no more. Now, does that mean I don't think about God as much? No, that's definitely not true. But I needed to learn. It was like I needed to grow. It's kind of like, you take a baby, they sucking up everything you give them at first. That's what I was doing. But then after a while, it's your knowledge of the knowledge of what you learn begins to slow down, and now your wisdom and understanding begins to increase. And so it's not necessarily a bad thing that you begin to develop more wisdom, and now you're not doing as much as you thought as you was doing when you first came into the Word, because the requirement might not be the same, but it doesn't mean you're not doing as much. It just means you're not doing as much reading Genesis 1 and verse 1 again. After you done been in the situation where you done read it. I probably read Genesis chapter 1, man, at least 100 times. And that's not an exaggeration. How many more times do I need to read it before I know or have the knowledge of what it says? But I'm still getting understanding on it on the daily. So just because you may not be reading as much as you had prior doesn't mean that you're not increasing your wisdom and understanding. I can practically quote a lot of the Bible, so I don't have to read it. When Brother Elijah does a lesson, when he sends it, I don't even open up my Bible. I just look at the scriptures and I'm like, yo, that say this, that say this, that say that comes from repetitive study. Right. Yeah, right. But now wisdom and understanding, yo, that don't come from that. That comes from experience. That comes from the Lord. And that doesn't take away from the fact that I'm not reading as much as I have been. But don't get it twisted. I read a lot still. I read a lot of things and I read a lot of the Bible. But I'm just saying, definitely not as much as I used to read when I first got in the Word. So at any rate, let's go to our next question here on YouTube. Lucid Dreamer. If logic is better compared to emotion, what is the purpose of emotion in respect to the Bible or God? I don't quite understand where the question is coming from. But I will say this. The scripture saying that we are to love the Lord with both mind, body, with all my heart, with all my soul, and with all, I'm about to find it. Love Lord with, yeah, and I'm pretty sure it is, but I'll Google it anyway. Yeah, Matthew 22, y'all. So we're gonna look at a couple of them here, and we're gonna see what it say. And this is all I can tell you. I don't really understand the question, and I'm sorry that I don't understand the question. I'm usually kind of good with that, catch it on, but maybe I'm gonna read it again after we look at the question. Maybe that'll help me understand it. But Matthew 22, and let's pick it up at verse 37.
Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and all thy soul and with all thy mind.
Now, look at that part right there. Your heart, your mind is really you. It's really your brain. And your soul is your brain. So I look at that a lot of times and I say, okay. So the Lord said I need to love him with all my actions. My soul will determine that. With all my mind, my logic will determine that. And with all my heart, that's my emotions too. Now that's how I look at that. I mean, I could be incorrect in that statement, but I don't really think it's that relevant if I am, because it's saying, I'm telling you, the book is saying love the Lord with all you got. So that's kind of my take on that. We see that in other places, but again, I'm not sure I understand the nature of the question. So I'm going to repeat it again. It says, if logic is better compared to emotion. See, now that's the part I don't get. Logic, I would say, is probably opposite to emotion, I thought. Then what is the purpose of emotion in respect to the Bible or God? Right, and I would say that emotion, like when you function with God, and you don't want to, the emotion is that you doing what He say. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really know again exactly what you asking. So I'm gonna give you Brother Godfrey number. You can just give him a call and ask your question, Brother Godfrey. No, but seriously, I can leave my number. You can call me, text me, maybe clear up the questions. 404-966-6378. I don't have a problem because I don't understand where you're coming from.
So, Brother JD, I think the emotional part of it, if there's anything like that, is that when the music plays, then people jump up and shout.
Yeah, that is the emotional part.
You know how we are very emotional, and
Yeah.
that's how we go at it. That's for me. That's what I think.
Yeah, but like I said, because I don't. In the question, if logic is better compared to emotion. See, logic and emotion to me don't compare. Logic is one end of the spectrum and emotion is another. But it doesn't matter because I see that you're still on Lucid Dreamer and I appreciate you being on. And yeah, so and it'll be better if you call me when we're done because otherwise I'm just gonna answer your call and probably tell you hold on for a second. But if you give me a call, I'll try to do what I can do in answering that question. All right. Next, we have Sister Terica. Peace to you and your husband. Happy Sabbath. How many daughters did Lot have? I was told today that those son-in-laws from Genesis 19 were married to daughters. There were not two virgins that were offered to the men. I don't know about that. Let's go look at Genesis 19. Because his daughters were married, but I don't know. Maybe they hadn't slept together. I don't really know. You know what I'm saying? Like. And when I say I don't really know, like, I don't know, like, maybe that is true. I don't really know, but we can just read it and we ain't gonna add nothing to it, though. That's what we're not gonna do. Now, I was always under the impression, I'm gonna tell you how I look at it more than not. But we'll read it and then I'll tell you later. And that's a better way to do it. I'll give my opinion later. So let's start at Genesis 19 and verse 1. And when you get there, go ahead.
And there came two angels
This
to
is right there. I'm sorry. Could you get us some more water, please? I don't even think Paul got one.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, but I don't have one. Please.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's from earlier. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, go ahead.
And there came two angels to Sodom at evening, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, Behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early, and go on your ways. And they said, Nay, but we will abide in the streets all night.
Mm-hmm.
And
So you got these angels, they coming down to, okay, they coming down to Sodom and Gomorrah, and basically they had just left Abraham, and they about to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. So Abraham and God kind of will negotiate back and forth, which I think is kind of cool. And it's like, yo, hey, can you save my family down? That's basically what Abraham's saying. Can you please save my family? So the angels come down. They come down to the city, and they like, no, we're gonna rock in the street. Ain't no pressure, you know they ain't never scared. Yeah. So he said, behold, now my lords, turn in, I pray you into your servant's house, and tarry all night and wash your feet. And you should rise up early and go your ways. And they said, No, we'll abide in the street all night. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him and entered into his house. And he made them a feast and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. Go ahead, verse 4.
But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter.
Yeah.
And they called unto Lot and said unto him, Where are the men which came in to thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know this.
Mm-hmm.
And Lot went out at the door unto them and shut the door after him, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold, now I have two daughters which have not known man.
So now when you read this, he said, I got two daughters which have not known man. That can almost be it taken like I got two additional daughters that don't know me. Yeah. It can be taken that way, or he could be saying I got two daughters that haven't known men. Like it doesn't clarify itself right here. All right. So we can't assume. And like I said, I've always, in my humble opinion, just took it like his daughters ain't know no men. I don't care if they were married or not. Obviously they had slept with them. Like I don't know. Like I get that part about the son-in-law. But like we see Mary and Martha, Mary and Jesus, you know, he was like, they was betrothed. But then when Jesus thought that Joseph had slept, that Mary, when Joseph thought that Mary had slept with somebody else to have Jesus, he was like, yo, don't put your way private.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's a divorce. So, you know, just because they hadn't slept with one another yet don't mean that they wasn't espoused to be married, or betrothed to be married. But let's look at some more. Keep reading.
It said, behold, now I have 2 daughters which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, stand back. And they said again, this one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will need to be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them. And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door down.
Go ahead.
But the men put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them and shut to the door.
Talking about the angels did. Go ahead.
And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they worried themselves to find the door. And the men said unto Lot, hast thou here any besides son-in-law, and thy sons and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say this much though. I don't really think it tell you the number. Like even when you're looking at this, he was like this even making it sound like he got son-in-laws and sons. But it's not really, nowhere else is it telling you this. So it's not to exclude them in the story as much as, like, we know that it's just not giving you a lot of information. So if he had sons, he could have had daughters, and maybe those 2 daughters, meaning he could have more than 4 daughters. I don't know. But at any rate, I'm not gonna have an answer for you. And you know, you always ask me stuff, I don't never have an answer. That's a credit to you, this particular person that asked this question. That's a credit to your level of questions. So, you know what I mean? I mean, I have an answer to some people, but I ain't gonna really have an answer. That's probably why you was told that earlier, that it was 4, because, you know what I'm saying, they ain't got the answer either, because it don't never give no number. Like, how you gonna give an answer to something that's not there? But go ahead, keep reading.
13. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxing great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law.
Yeah, so they weren't hearing it. That's all the story tells us. Don't really even say how many sons-in-law, how many daughters, like it don't really say.
Right.
But go ahead, keep reading.
And when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters.
So now the angel is saying, take your wife and your 2 daughters. Now, I don't know if these were the son-in-laws. Like, I don't think they were. I don't think these were the son-in-laws. But I could be wrong. It doesn't really tell us. But if they're not the son-in-law's wives, I think they stay with their husbands. Like, I mean, honestly, but it's not enough information given. So we just guessing. That's all we're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Arise, take thy wives and thy 2 daughters which are here.
Lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. Keep reading.
Yeah, go ahead, read a little more.
And while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful unto him, and they brought him forth and set him without the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed.
Right.
And Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my Lord. Behold now, thy servant has found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast showed.
That's good. And so what we find later is that his daughters, his wife turned to a pillar of salt, 'cause she looked back when they were told not to.
Yep.
And his daughters got him drunk,
Yep.
the two virgins.
Yep.
Got him drunk and slept with their daddy. So, sis, I hate that I can't answer your question. Because you always be asking me stuff and I'll never be able to answer it. But, you know, we do get to investigate it. Maybe you have a little more than what you had when you started. But I don't think we have an answer to be able to give for that. So, I don't know, you know, we're married to the daughters that were not the two virgins. Yeah, that could be true. That could be true. Not right. That could be a true statement that they were married to to some other daughters. Because it said he had sons too. I don't even mention no. He just said grab your
Two daughters.
your two daughters and your wife and bounce.
Yep.
So I don't know, sis. But with that being said, I appreciate you guys online with us today. I would ask the audience, do they have any more questions? But my audience is asleep. So obviously they don't have any more questions, which is cool as we approach the end of the Sabbath. And we're going to go ahead and stay and face Jerusalem. For those of you online, if you got any more questions, feel free to put them on our YouTube page. You can find us on Facebook. I done posted my number. You can text me. You can ask Brother Paul. I'm just playing. But no, you can ask us whatever you want to, and we'll try to get to them next Sabbath, if not during the course of the week. So with that being said, go ahead and take it to the house, bro.
Our Father which art in heaven,
Our Father which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come,
Thy kingdom come,
thy will be done
thy will be done
in earth
in earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
And give us this day our daily bread,
Give us this day our daily bread,
and forgive us our debts,
and forgive us our debts,
as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation,
Lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from
but
evil.
deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
For thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory forever.
and the glory forever.
Praise the Lord,
Praise the Lord,
for he is
for
good,
he is good,
and his mercy endureth forever.
and his mercy endures forever.
Praise the Lord God of Israel,
Praise the Lord, the God of Israel,
for he is good,
for he is good,
and his mercy endureth forever.
his mercy endures forever.
In Jesus' name we pray.
In Jesus' name we pray.
The Holy One of Israel,
Holy One of Israel,
the Mighty One of Jacob,
mighty one of Jacob,
King of Kings,
King of kings,
and the Lord of
and
Lords.
Lord of lords.
Amen.
Amen. Where's Nashan?